Xi Jinping, a biography, written by Zhong Wen. Chapter 1 Xi Jinping's Path to Rise. Xi Jinping was born in Zongnanhai, Beijing, in June 1953. His father, Xi Zhongshuan, was a vice premier of the State Council. As a child, Xi boarded at Beihai Kindergarten and at the age of 7 enrolled in the Bai School, which was founded for the children of high-ranked cadres of the CCP. In 1962, Xi Zhongshuan was sentenced to imprisonment by Mao Zedong for supporting the writing of Liu Zhidan's novel, and his family was kicked out from Zongnanhai to the Central Party School in the western suburbs. That year, Xi Jinping was only 9 years old. It can be said that long before the Cultural Revolution, Xi's family had already been reduced to a pariah in the underclass. His family was split up and he was ostracized by the children of the Red second generation because he was the son of a political victim, and no one wanted to hang out with their siblings, so he had no choice but to play with the children of the lower class, becoming one of their street thugs. Once he was sent to a juvenile detention center for group fighting in the street. During this time, Xi Jinping was a marginalized member of society, with no one to turn to and no one to depend on. He was lice-infested and was not well mentally or physically. Xi Jinping's experience at the bottom was similar to that of Qin Shi Huangyingzheng, who was sent to Zhao as a hostage, suffering humiliation and hardship. He not only tasted the bitter fruits of the party struggle, but also dimly realized the philosophy of the party struggle: the loser is the enemy, the winner is the emperor. Such a political philosophy began to germinate in his mind, and eventually developed into his thicket of political struggle. During the Cultural Revolution in 1966, Bai School was closed. She was transferred to Beijing No. 25 Middle School. In the midst of social unrest, she rarely attended classes as his father had been imprisoned and he no longer belonged to the Red second generation and could not join the Red Guard. In 1967, Xi Jinping was also dragged to the stage as a child to stand next to the Black Gang, to accompany his father when he was struggled by the Red Guard. Xi Zhongshuan's wife Qi Xian also participated in the meeting and raised her hand and shout slogans: "Down with Xi Zhongshuan, down with Xi Jinping." I believed her mother's behaviors deeply hurt his heart as a teenager. However, due to his low intellectual, he did not quite understand what issues his father had with Liu Zhidan and Gao Gang. Why a novel will get his father in trouble. He did not understand the power struggle within the CCP. Xi Jinping did not hate Mao Zedong. He only knew that Chairman Mao was great, that everything was right, and that it was right for Mao to imprison his father because of Liu Zhidan. He worshipped Mao, the Red Sun, and never had the slightest doubt about Mao. For a while, he was sent to juvenile jail because of fighting in the streets with gang members. During this time Xi Jinping belonged to the margins of society with no one to turn to, growing lice on his body, was not very well mentally and physically. In 1968 he was sent to live in the home of his great-aunt in Fuping, Shaanxi, arranged by his father. In 1969, Mao Zedong wanted the youth to go to the countryside. Xi Jinping was sent and settled in the Liangjiahe Brigade in Yanchuan County, Shaanxi Province. After a few months he sneaked back into Beijing and was detained by the police. He was then sent to a study camp where he was released after a few months. He was forced to return to Liangjiahe and continue to work in the communes. After returning to the village, he behaved more honestly and worked better. In the winter of 1974, Xi Jinping was allowed to join the CCP. He was also made local CCP party secretary in the winter of 1974 because his father had been back to Beijing and regained his power in the CCP. In 1975 Xi was recommended by the communes to enter Tsinghua University without passing any examination. He studied in the Department of Chemical Engineering and served as CCP party secretary there. During that period, he introduced his classmate Chen Shi to join the CCP. Chen Shi was later promoted to the Central Organization Department by Xi Jinping as vice minister. In 1979, Xi Jinping graduated from the Chemical Engineering Department of Tsinghua University. He did not want to pursue career in chemical engineering. Relying on his father's relationship with top senior officers in the central government of China, he was arranged by his father to work in the General Office of the Military Commission, becoming the secretary of the Deputy Minister of Defense Geng Biao. He entered the door for politicians. In 1982, she was once again arranged by his father to Jingding County, Hebei as Deputy Secretary of the County Party Committee. Originally, Xi Jinping was expected to be the Chief Secretary of Jingding County, but Gao Yang, the CCP Chief Secretary of Hebei Province, said she had shown up just like something was suddenly parachuted into the county, so he should be the Deputy Secretary first. Until today, he still hates Gao Yang for that. Gao Yang later became the president of the CCP Central Party School. When Gao Yang died, Xi Jinping was the president of the CCP Central Party School. Xi Jinping refused to attend Gao Yang's memorial service. In the second year after they came to Jingding, Xi Jinping was promoted to the position of Chief Secretary of the CCP of Jingding County, and he met Li Jianshu, the CCP Secretary of the neighboring county Wuji. Li Jianshu was later promoted by Xi Jinping to the Central Committee as a member of the Standing Committee, Director of the Central Office and Chairman of the National People's Congress. In April 1985, Xi Jinping was appointed as the head of a delegation from Hebei Province to the United States to study corn products processing. He spent 10 days in Ohio, USA. Xi is said to have been so unimpressed with the U.S. When boarding a plane in San Francisco to return home, he finally cursed, "Fuck you, motherfucking America." In 1985, Xi Jinping asked to be transferred to Xiamen, where there were more opportunities as one of the special economy zones in China. He was appointed vice mayor of Xiamen, but Xi's political performance in Xiamen was very poor. His reputation was not good either. Xi received less than 50% of the votes in the Xiamen Municipal People's Congress election and was transferred out of Xiamen to Ningde City. In 1990, he was promoted to the CCP Chief Secretary of Fuzhou City. 6 years later, in 1996, he was promoted to the position of the CCP Deputy Secretary of Fujian Province, in 2000 to Governor of Fujian Province, and in 2002 to Vice Governor of Zhejiang Province. During this period, he studied Marxism, ideological and political education at the School of Humanities and Social Sciences of Tsinghua University. This is an on-the-job study program. He got a PhD degree after 2 to 3 years of study. However, he thought the Ph.D. in Marxism was too hypocritical. He asked Tsinghua University to change it to a doctorate in law. Tsinghua University agreed to give whatever he requested. Anyway, the purpose of having this Ph.D. was just to put on a doctoral gown and made him look good. In 2007, Xi Jinping's chance to become a member of the Central Committee came when he was first transferred to Shanghai as secretary in March and then to Beijing in the fall for the 17th Communist Party Congress, where he was nominated by Jiang Zemin to become a member of the Standing Committee, one of the 9 standing committees, secretary of the Secretariat, head of the Hong Kong and Macau Coordination Group and president of the Central Party School. In 2008, he became the president of the country, and in 2010, the vice chairman of the Military Commission. His power was only under Hu Jintao. He was the hidden successor of Hu Jintao, approved by Jiang Zemin. Originally Hu Jintao intended to let Li Keqiang take over. However, Jiang Zemin preferred the second generation of the Red cadres. Hu Jintao had no choice but to accept. In November of 2012, the Chinese Communist Party opened the 18th National Congress. Hu Jintao handed over full power to Xi Jinping, including the General Secretary of the CCP and Chairman of the Military Commission. Xi thus got a monopoly of power. Not only he owned the political power, he also owned the financial power. In the year 2012, Bloomberg reported that Xi Jinping's family had assets worth 379 million yuan. The Xi family holds 38% of the $11.7 billion as assets of China Rare Earths Corporation, which is indirectly owned by the Xi family. The Xi family has another $90 million in technology holdings and 7 properties in Hong Kong worth $7.5 million. They are owned by Xi Jinping's sister Qi Qiaoqiao, brother Xi Yuanping and brother-in-law Wu Longchang. In addition, Qi Qiaoqiao, brother-in-law Deng Jiagui owns a large number of shares in Wanda Group, but the shares were later transferred to an old friend Su Zixing to conceal the Xi family's assets. Xi Jinping's first wife, Ku Lingling, is daughter of a senior Chinese diplomat Ku Hua, married Xi in 1979 after graduating from Tsinghua University. 3 years after their marriage, Ku went to England to study and asked Xi to go with her. But she was keen to be a government official at home and did not go to England. They divorced in 1982. Ku stayed in England and she went to Jingding County, Hebei Province. Ku Lingling has been in London, but in recent years her good friends can't find her. She was probably recalled to China by Xi Jinping, who treated her generously to conceal Xi's private life in their marriage. As Ku Lingling knew Xi's background, Xi Jinping was on the edge of his seat, worried that he would be exposed at some point. One day, Ku told her friend why they divorced. "It is hard to live with a person who do not take shower for a week. Besides, he has no interest in anything except becoming a higher rank official, that is his dream of life." She met Peng Liyuan in 1986 and married her in Xiamen in 1987. This is Xi Jinping's second marriage. They have a daughter, Xi Mingze. Xi Mingze was born in 1992. She studied psychology at Harvard University in the U.S. When she was about to graduate, she was recalled to China by Xi Jinping in 2014 to work as her parents' image designer, who is very active in China's internet media. Xi's mother, Qi Xian, is an old retired CCP cadre in her 90s and lives in Shenzhen. Xi's eldest sister, Qi Qiao, and brother-in-law, Deng Jiagui, reside in Canada. Second sister Qi Anan, second brother-in-law Wu Longchang, live in Australia, and young brother Xi Yuanping, lives in Australia. All the way from the countryside as a youth, to Tsinghua University, especially in Hebei after becoming an official, there was explicit news of Xi Jinping's sexual affairs, in 2014. A writer collected the news of his sexuality into a book in order to publish it in Hong Kong. Somehow, Xi Jinping heard it and immediately sent Guobao, state security officers, to Hong Kong to kidnap the publisher so that the book publication could be aborted. 5 years later, in 2019, still similar contents were published in the United States. Xi Jinping and his lovers, which, in addition to chronicling Xi's racy affairs, also exposed the rules of the game and the unspoken rules of the Chinese Communist Party officialdom. The book led to the arrest of the owner of the Causeway Bay bookstore in Hong Kong, which triggered the anti-sending campaign and the subsequent Hong Kong national security law. This event shows that private lives of leaders of totalitarian states can be the spark for a social movement, and exposing their private lives can be the starting point for the downfall of a thriving city. Xi also intervened in other cases that would have affected him. Lai Changxing, born in 1958, a native of Fujian province and 5 years younger than Xi Jinping, was a treacherous businessman who colluded with the official smuggling to get rich. Being most wanted by the Chinese government, he evaded Canada for 12 years. He was deported to China in 2011 and sentenced to life imprisonment in 2012. It is rumored that the central government is discussing the death penalty, but Xi Jinping is strongly in favor of not killing him. At the end of 1986, a seminar on cross-strait relations was held in Xiamen, and a female professor from Tsinghua University, Bai Liping, was on the delegation of Taiwan. Talking with Vice Mayor Xi, Professor Bai gave Xi Jinping one of her papers, asking him to study it and write his own report to influence the Communist Party's high-level policy on Taiwan. The thesis was to be clear that the Kuomintang and the Communist Party were no longer rivals, and that the common heartache was the DPP. The Kuomintang wanted to use the power of the Communist Party to crush the DPP. Xi Jinping was very happy by saying, very good, working together. In 2007, the Chinese Communist Party opened the 17th National Congress election to determine the next successor for the post of General Secretary. Jiang Zemin preferred Xi Jinping, Hu Jintao preferred Li Keqiang, both sides laid out for votes. In the afternoon of June 23, 2007 at the Beijing West Hotel, more than 400 members and alternate members of the CCP Central Committee received recommendation ballots to vote for their preferred members of the Politburo to be recommended to the Standing Committee. The results were announced at 4:30 p.m. Among the 420 people who voted, Xi Jinping, as the candidate for General Secretary, got 211 votes, while Li Keqiang got 209 votes, making Xi Jinping the winner. Hu Jintao's face became white when he learned the results, and he kept sitting for a long time without standing up, while Jiang Zemin came over to shake hands with Xi Jinping with joy. Hu Jintao saw Lu Yandong extending the V gesture to Xi Jinping. Greatly surprised, he understood what was the reason, and he turned his head away from them and hurriedly left the meeting. Xi Jinping had ambitions to become the central CCP leader, and so had Bo Xilai. Jiang Zemin considered promoting both of them to the central. Bo Xilai was not willing to end up only a Southwest King, Chongqing Municipal Party Secretary. After 2007, Chongqing Bo Xilai was engaged in singing red and fighting black. Singing red is singing evolutional songs and creating the resurrection of Mao Zedong's Cultural Revolution. Fighting black is arresting gang members. In 3 months, more than 100 task forces were set up to arrest more than 5,000 criminals. Chongqing model emerged in national public opinion. Even the Patriarch Kissinger, who opened U.S. China relations, came to Chongqing to study. In 2011, Bo Xilai intensified his activities in preparation for his election to the Standing Committee of the Central Committee at the 18th National Assembly in 2012 and ordered the chief of Chongqing Police Bureau Wang Lijun to step up his efforts to understand the movements of the central leadership and monitor their activities in order to formulate countermeasures to join the Standing Committee. The government's surveillance minister, Ma Wen, noticed Wang Lijun's activities and reported them to Hu Jintao. Hu Jintao understood that Bo Xilai struggled to become a member of the Standing Committee of the Central Committee. He saw Xi Jinping as a rival, step by step to compete for the General Secretary position. Hu Jintao had been working on a strategy of sitting on a mountain and watching a tiger fight. He asked Ma Wen to continue monitoring the situation and not take any measures. On February 6, 2012, Wang Lijun entered the U.S. consulate in Chengdu, where he was sent to Beijing in accordance with Ma's plan to seek political asylum. The U.S. consulate sent him to Beijing. Wang Lijun and others related were convicted according to the law. Bo Xilai was also detained in custody during a meeting in Beijing. Bo Xilai was sentenced to life imprisonment in September 2013 and sent to Qinqing prison in November.